trimmer, it will be that much easier to just make these lines pop. As you can see here, I'm coming in and I'm just going around my prep work. My prep work with the blue, and I'm just making these lines pop that much more.
Has anybody in here did designs? Anybody? So whenever I'm starting to do my design, I like to just use it similar to a pencil, and I'm just gonna go little bit by little bit. And whatever direction I'm going in, I'm gonna lead with that corner. And also got a finger in his head for stability. And it's gonna help me solidify that line. And I'm using our new Apex trimmers. You can see these are hidden for sure. These are my new hitters. They're quiet.
The thing about these trimmers I love is when I'm doing my designs, I like to use my corners a lot. And the Menti blade is the perfect example of how to get it real clean and just get my lines real bald and quick. Because in the barbershop, you want to make some quick money and get them in and out. And this is the perfect opportunity to do so.
Guys, I understand that as creatives, you need that time, just a second to just kind of go in. So I'm going to give you some fun facts about these clippers, okay? So they are vector motor, okay? They run as fast as 9,000 RPMs. But what makes a vector motor so special is that it works with the resistance of the hair. So the denser the hair, it kicks up power. And the lighter the hair in density, it smooths it down. So you're able to cut all hair textures with the same tool. There's also an LCD motor, or I'm sorry, an LCD screen on the clipper. So it shows you the power and it shows you the battery life. Yeah. They're also very quiet. So you guys can have your conversation with your client and not have to fight over the hum.
So Lacey, I wanna add to that. Who in here cuts kids? So hey, if it's a loud clipper, they gonna jump, they gonna run, they flip out, they act like it's a big thing. Or I could even kids with autism. So I have to cut them on the floor. It'd be crazy. But I love these because they are quiet, so they also don't irritate the skin. No matter what head texture, no matter if you have sensitive skin, these clippers are great for that. You can see he's not turning red.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, Avery, I do like how these trimmers, they really don't leave none of my clients irritated, red, none of these lines. They all come out real sharp and clean, and it gets it real tight to the skin. And in these design works, you always want to get it real tight to the skin because that's going to be your negative line. In design works, you're working with two types of lines, negative and positive. Positive being the hair, the actual hair. Negative would be the lines, the baldness of the lines. I'm trying to do a little of both in this, where I'm going to make shapes out of the hair, but also make the negative lines pop with the baldness of the trimmer.
I'd like to point out that both barbers approach their technique different. He is doing a freestyle with no line work, or he didn't sketch out his line first, right? And he prepped his area where he's going to do the design. There is no right or wrong way. But I know Blayden's style of artistry is very flowy, right? And it's really extreme. So it goes a little bit further than just simple line work, which having a stencil does support creating the look. Whereas when you're doing more of a graphic design, more of that line freestyle stroke, you just allow the energy and your creativity to flow.
So I really don't be knowing what I'll be going for sometimes, but I just know I'm combining lines and curves. So, and that's how I got started. I really started getting into design, just going to hair shows, and I just be looking like, oh, that's cool, that's nice. So then I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try that. And then I just practicing. Keep doing it over and over again. You're gonna see improvement. You're gonna get better. And then also feel free to ask other people who doing design. I was even just asking Blame. Why not?
For sure. Yeah, when I do my designs, I like to kind of do the same shapes in different patterns. So if I'm doing a swirl on one side, I would like to kind of replicate it in a different type of pattern on the other side. I like to have all my designs flow with the shape of the head. So not every design is going to look the same, but every design is going to have that same kind of flow to it to build the haircut throughout. And when I'm doing my designs, blade work is key. Blade work is gonna get your designs to pop and really give it that Photoshop in real life look, that Photoshop in vivo. So that's really gonna make all your designs pop. The blade is everything. Before you even add enhancements, before you even add any of that, line the blade to get it bald.
So building off what Blaine just said, doing the blade is how you're gonna really detail and bring your design to the next level. I like to just scratch, and I'm just making a rough draft with the trimmers.
I like to add in on the blade work. So I want to make a couple recommendations when you are prepping the scalp when you're using a razor. Okay. So we have our mink shine spray. So there is all organic oils in here, carrot oil, blueberry oil, right? But you get enough slip on the scalp without it being too wet, right? So your blade won't slip too far. I suppose if you were using like a gel or let's say like a wet shave cream. Now, if you want something a little bit more softer, right, and you want more of a complete shave, let's say you're going to razor a bigger space, you can use the Skin and Beard Shine Moisturizer Cream. Now, the biggest thing about the entire Mentee line is that it is vitamin rich. So it does help with ingrown hairs. It helps with irritation, inflammation, any type of skin conditions like psoriasis or eczema. It helps calm and soothe the skin. But because it does deliver nutrients to the skin, your clients will also start noticing more vibrant, hydrated skin with less irritation and inflammation.
Lisi, one thing I like to do when I'm doing my designs, and especially I've been doing it a lot today as I've been showcasing, I like to grab my holding spray. The reason I like to do this is because if I get any flyaways, any longer hairs that are hanging over, that's really gonna solidify the hair and get it stuck in my place that I really can make to really get that line sharper than it already is. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna just brush out any hair, make sure we got no hairs that are already off the head on there. So I'm gonna brush it off, and I'm only gonna hit 1, 2, 3, just to give it a nice foundation of it. You don't want to soak the head, especially while doing these designs. I'm gonna let it dry off, dust it off a little bit, and then I like to go in with my trimmer.
Guys, what makes the holding spray so amazing is that there's no alcohol in it. The base ingredients is purified water, sugarcane, and bamboo.
So as y'all can see, I pretty much created my rough draft. I know how it's gonna look, but I'm gonna just bring it out. I'm gonna hit it with the razor, but I'm also gonna trace it with the pencil to give it that nice like ash line, really bring it out and make it pop. What up? And before I go in with the razor, I'm gonna spray some of our shine spray. It's gonna soften his skin and the hair, so the razor glides easily.
So now that I got my rough draft kind of finished, The next thing I like to do after I make my line work is I go in with my clipper to really fade anything out, give it a nice transition throughout the full haircut to make not just the design work, but the full haircut of an art piece.
And you can see just the difference already in me using a razor versus just a trimmer.
So when I'm fading into my designs, I like to always stay under my 1/16 guard. That's also known as your half guard. The reason I like to do that is because what I used for my actual base of my design was my 1. The guard under that is gonna be your half guard. It gives it a much cleaner transition as far as the fade, as far as just blending into the design. The half guard is gonna give you a nice foundation for it all. Similar to how the 1 guard did.
So even I want to add to that, Blaine.
Okay.
You want to use the half guard because you also don't want to make it too light, but you want to make it low enough so the trimmer can easily eat through the hair.
For sure. I feel the half guard is more of a safe space in these. Yes, I see a lot of people, and I even do this if I'm in the shop real quick, where you just got your open clipper and you try to just do it real quick. The half guard is going to be your safe space and something that I personally feel is going to give you a cleaner blend.
How many of you guys are not as comfortable with clippers? Oh, we all OGs right here. Okay? we all real good fading. We all good with the mints. I just wanted to point out that these clippers also have a click lever system. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So you're able to get great measurements when you are working your blend up and down, as opposed to just guessing where those go. The other thing that I want to mention is the titanium blades, right? So they're non-porous. So it's not going to absorb sweat. It's not going to absorb moisture, right? Very anti-microbial.
They also don't overheat. I ain't gonna lie, I cut a lot of people. So generally, I cut usually average at least 5 hairs a day. So when I'm using them back to back, you know, some clippers you might see them, the blade might get really high, it'll overheat, make it uncomfortable for your clients. These don't because of the titanium blade.
One thing I like to do in my designs that I feel I personally specialize in when it comes to these designs is the enhancement work. The enhancement work really makes, like I said before, it gives you that Photoshop in real life look. The enhancement work is really gonna, if done correctly, is gonna make the haircut stand out. So what I like to use is a Kiss Express with a brush and just apply it natural straight out the bottle. The reason I do that and I don't mix it with no alcohol, I don't mix it with none of that, is because when I mix it with alcohol, it becomes very watery and not like able to lay on the skin, on the hair too well. When doing the Kiss Express, you want to be very light and use a very thin brush.
Okay.
Blayden, how did you get started doing designs?
Man, so that's a long story, no lie. I grew up, my father's a barber, and this is all I really grew up around. But to be honest with you, I had no interest from being the model. Until it came, I was working a job for about like a couple years, and I did not like the retail, all that. I knew I wanted to do something where I'm more of an entrepreneur. I started cutting my guys' hairs, doing all that, and immediately I thought, man, I'm the stuff. Like I'm I'm gonna really do him a design right off the bat, right off the bat. And yes, it didn't come out, but consistency is key. I always say, in barbering, it's the 2 C's. You need consistency and cleanliness to really make it far in this game. If you be consistent with all your work and make it clean, you're gonna make it far.
Do any of you have a question for our barber? They have about just under 15 minutes left. So any questions? Now's the time. Okay, this question, we have a question in the audience for the both of you. Avery, you can start. What do you have, what advice do you have for that new up-and-coming barber?
New up-and-coming barber. Repetition. I say repetition. You only gonna get better the more you do it. So you can start out small. You can start however you want. Just feel free to get out your comfort zone. Because when I first started doing design, I didn't even start out. I was like, nah, I don't really want to do designs or nothing like that. But I just got in my comfort zone and started doing them.
Yeah, I would say for the new up and coming barbers, like I mentioned before, and I'm always preach this, is stay consistent. Because if you do one head and obviously you're not gonna walk out, start cutting hair, and you're gonna have 10 clients a day. But if you're not trying to do it, I don't think it's for you. I would recommend stay consistent, continue to try to do it. Like anywhere you're at, advertise yourself as a barber. Continuously advertise yourself wherever.